Welcome to You Know Something with Dina.
Hey, look, I'm just here to entertain, inform, and keep this crazy train on track.
And Tia.
Me, unlike your live wire that is liable to go shoo-boom.
They're like your cool aunts.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Fun.
I can't believe you even brought that up. That is so fun.
Informative.
It's impossible to dust potpourris.
You can't.
Sometimes serious.
Dina, sweet child. I am almost stunned. I mean, I'm being really serious.
But most of the time, not so much.
A caca. I mean, you're caca and you're caca. No. I'm sorry.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Ladies, let's go.
Hello, welcome to You Know Something with Dina and Tia. I'm Dina.
And I'm Tia, and today is July 31st, 2024.
Today, Tia, our topic
Already getting nervous.
is based on a interview that I watched, a podcast that I enjoy. The woman whose podcast I watch, she has guests occasionally, and she had a guest on named Jorge Perez, and he's a lot of different things. He's a promoter and involved in show business, but he's also an author. And he wrote a book, and the title is a little off color. I understand why he did it, because it gets people's attention. But basically it's the STFU Method. You know what STFU stands for? Shut the beep up.
Wow.
So other than the title, I found it a very interesting theory, method, interview, and I thought, I think I need to talk to Tia about this and see how she feels about it.
Okay.
The subtitle of the book is Silence Your Way to the Life of Your Dreams. The theory is basically that if you hold your tongue, your life's going to be a lot easier, simpler, less drama, more peaceful. Words, once they're spoken, you can't take them back.
Exactly.
You can't unring a bell. And of course, there are situations where you need to speak out. The question is, how do we know
music
when to speak
and
out
end with
and when to shut
slang,
up?
the new slang, fashion hair, music.
So today we're going to discuss
and end with
shut up or speak
slang,
up.
the new slang, fashion hair,
Okay.
music, and
Now,
end with
we're going to discuss
slang,
the
the new
basics
slang,
of how to
fashion
live your
hair,
life this way.
music,
and then at the end I'm going to give you
with
scenarios,
slang,
Tia, and
the
you
new
can tell me whether you would speak up
Or
you would shut up.
Okay.
And our listeners can see what they would do
Play
too.
along.
Yeah, exactly. See if they agree with us. Now, in general, Tia, would you say you're a speak-upper or a shut-upper?
See, it varies because it depends on if it's really important to me or if it's not. If it's really important to me and I stand for something, I'm going to speak up. If I really don't care about it that much, then I'll just shut up.
Really?
Yes.
So even if you have a strong opinion, but you're in a situation where you don't really care in this particular situation, but you do normally have a strong opinion on the topic.
No, if I have a strong opinion on a topic, I'm going to speak up. If it's something I don't really care about, I'll shut up.
Okay. That sounds fair. If I had to pick, if somebody asked me, is Tia a speaker-upper or a shutter-upper, I would say you're more a speaker-upper because you're only going to be in situations with people you care about. Therefore, you are going to have an opinion and speak your mind about it.
Unless you're,
fashion hair,
out
music,
at an event
and end with
and
slang,
you run
the
into
new
people
slang.
you don't know.
Yeah.
So there's where the big catch is because you're not always with friends.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that does make a difference. Well, Mr. Perez, the author, said to think about the fact that it's our nature to butt in and to want to know everything, and because our brains are in a constant state of fight or flight and survival. It's the way we're made. Now, this is just his opinion. I'm not saying I agree with all this, and you can tell me what you think, and our listeners can decide what they think. I agreed with some. I didn't agree with some, but I think it's always good to keep your mind open to new thoughts. I'm not a big self-help book person. I'm more lean towards the Bible as my guide for things.
Right.
But I think there are some people that God put on the earth to help guide people or have new ideas or whatever, so you can listen with an open mind. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think God made us all different. Then we're the ones that make the choices.
Right.
So, I'm just not a big self-helper person.
I'm not either. But this one intrigued me. So he says the fact that all of us that were born in the United States, I'm talking to people who were born here, our descendants had to overcome a lot just to survive to get here. It wasn't easy, if you go back generations. So our descendants had to do some crazy, desperate things to get to this country. Some of them had to steal. They had to hide, like stowaways. They had to steal money to get here that they didn't have. Some of them had to kill. There was fighting and threats and danger and battles even, battles with the British for us to be here and have this country. And just to plain survive. Everybody was starting fresh, except there were some rich people that came over. But basically, there was a bunch of people that just wanted to get out and start their life fresh and had no idea how they were going to do it. Therefore, he believes your genetics in your brain transfer to the next generation, almost like an evolutionary thing. Whatever you were doing when you were raising the child or even carrying a child gets passed on. So, by nature, as born United States citizens with a history here of our descendants here, we are in that fight or flight mode all the time, 70% of the time. This is what certain scientists have decided, in that survival mode. So we are built to search out our enemies, the enemies of our happiness, and to fight back. So if there's nothing really threatening you, your brain begins to make up scenarios of what could happen. So what you do is you hear something happening, you feel like you have to, no, I've got to get involved. I've got to solve this problem. I've got to know all the situations of the people around me and what the opinions are and how it might involve me. The study of how your brain metabolizes the environment around you is called epigenetics. It refers to how your behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. This is a lot of information. I know. We're going to get simpler with it. Unlike genetic changes or mutations, epigenetic changes are reversible and do not change your DNA bases. They can change how your body reacts and reads your DNA. Okay, and that's based on science. It's from the CDC. And epigenetics comes from epi is Greek for over and above, and then your genetics. So it's the study of how cells control your gene activity without changing your DNA sequence. What that means is, breaking it down further, epigenetics is showing that your perceptions and thoughts control your health, your biology. You can change your genetic makeup with drama and trauma and stress. And by changing your thoughts, you can actually heal certain things about your body. So let's say you had a underlying gene. He uses the example of ALS, MS, Parkinson's, neurological disorders. You can actually turn on those genetic markers with constant stress and trauma and drama. And that's not the only cause of that, but you can actually have those lie dormant in your whole life without them becoming active if you don't turn them on by this stress and drama. I think about people whose children tragically pass or disappear when they're young. It seems like, and I didn't Google the statistics, it seems like they get cancers and illnesses just from the stress and die young when they have such a horrible trauma in their life. So his idea is keep your mouth shut. Kind of like our last week's episode title, Stay Cool.
Okay, well, I'm not agreeing with all of that.
Okay.
Because I just think that there have been people that have had an extremely difficult, horrible childhood and have rose above and are very, very, very successful and extremely happy people. So, I mean, I don't think anybody really needs a whole lot of drama and vomit, because that's what I call ick stuff, in their life, because stress, I mean, it's been proven that it could physically cause damage to your body. I understand that. But I don't think that things are passed down, like, I mean, I do genetically, but not like in thought waves or whatever.
So you don't
If
think
that's
a
what
person's environment, the child, obviously it would be with the mother as far as that goes. Although I think he's saying the sperm would actually be affected by what the man had gone through if he was in fight or flight mode. That could be passed on genetically. And there are scientists who say that's true. And I'm sure there are some that disagree with that too. And the mother, carrying the child. And over time, it starts to affect how you think, what you do. And of course, your environment as you're raised. If somebody's been in survival mode, they're going to try to teach you that, pass that on to you. And you're going to listen as a child to what people are saying.
Right.
But the epigenetics, for instance, let's say that a woman found out that her husband had an affair. She's telling all her friends what happened. Let's say she has 5 close friends that she confides in. So she's having 5 different conversations, telling the story over. They're going to naturally ask, well, how'd you find out? What does she look like? Well, what'd you say? Then what'd he say? Her body is reliving that trauma every time she tells that story and has to answer the same questions from her different friends. They're going to give her maybe 5 differing opinions about what she should do and what they think. And she's going to even find herself comforting them because they're upset for her, reassuring them that she's going to be okay. So while she's doing that, she's raising her cortisol levels every time she tells the painful, traumatic situation, every time she discusses it. Then, let's say she goes to her husband, they work it out. He apologizes. They go to counseling. Then she's got to tell all those 5 friends, all right, here's what I'm going to do about it. We're going to counseling. I think we're going to be okay. And each friend's going to give their opinion, their reaction. Some are going to be happy for her. Some are going to say, I could never forgive him. I don't know how you could do that. Others are going to say, aren't you afraid he'll do it again? Which puts that in somebody's brain. One of them tells her a story about her ex-husband and how he hurt her. Another friend tells her about her sister forgave her ex-husband and he cheated again and got a woman pregnant and now he left her for that whole family. So every time she has a conversation about her situation that she has solved, that she's already resolved it and it's opening that old wound, and every time your body thinks you're going through that again as you talk about it. So the cortisol levels and the inflammation in her body can turn on a gene that triggers a terrible neurological disorder, and then some doctors even think cancer. Can affect how your new cells are creating every day. So if you got all this trauma and stress, you can actually turn those cells into malformed cells. And this is based on science. So you create a whole network of drama and trauma and possibly disease by repeating that story. Now, are you I'm going to share this with a lot of friends. What happened to me?
No. There's certain things, especially if it's good.
Yeah, good.
If
good
it's
is fine.
really bad, then no, I wouldn't. But I just listened to a podcast, I'm not kidding, about it's Better Together. And it's women. They'll pick a topic. And Sheila Walsh said she was in the airport and this flight was delayed, and this lady came up to her and she said, do you have a minute? My flight's been delayed. I'd love to talk to you about something. And Sheila said, of course. And she started immediately crying and she said, my husband left me for another woman, and I put him through school and everything. She said, well, when did this happen? It was 25 years ago. And her emotions were still as raw as they were the day he left her. Well, the point of that was you've got to, at some point in time, let it go. And I don't think sharing horrible things is healthy for anybody.
Especially things that can't be changed. That was 20 years ago. She thinks she's helping herself by telling somebody, but she is reliving it.
That's my whole point. She has the ability to switch it and just say, you know something, that's happened in my life. I'm going to move on from it. Just move on from it.
Wow, and this was just a stranger to her.
Yes.
That is wild. That's a really sad story, and that's exactly kind of what he's talking about. Another way we traumatize our genetics, according to Mr. Perez, is reading bad news. It has nothing to do with our life or anyone close to us, but we gravitate toward it, and there's abundance of it now with the internet, 24-hour news stations. We can't get enough of tragedy, and we must know every gory detail and then share it with others. Did you hear about this and this and this and this? And the reason why our brains do this, he thinks, is because it needs to know threats. Like, how did it happen? What mistake? I find myself saying, well, that wouldn't happen to me because I never would have gone down that dark alley. Or that wouldn't happen to me because I wouldn't have gone out by myself like that. I try to justify my safety, which he says is a natural way your brain does. But it can't deal with it till it knows everything because it's in that survival mode he talked about before. The tornado that killed and damaged property, are we possibly in the path of it? No. Okay, it's not going to get me. But let me watch the news and see where all it's going. Well, then what mistakes did the people who were killed or injured do that I can avoid? Well, they didn't go underground or they stayed in their car. Okay, I'm learning. How can I avoid all this death and destruction? Tell me everything. This actually does help you survive real life situations, but that's a desperate body response to a desperate short-term situation. What we are doing to ourselves is a sustained level of the cortisol again, like I was talking about. So that same alarm system in our body that's meant to save us from an actual threat is actually just killing us because we're worrying about it and learning about it. You might think complaining with others gets it off your chest and makes you feel better, just like we were talking about this lady in the airport. But let's say you go to a friend who's like your complaining friend. You guys go and complain together. And I have friends like that. That's just what we naturally do when we're together. And that's not my nature, but that's how the conversation rolls. And you think you're getting off your chest, but when you leave and you get home, do you feel lighter or do you feel exhausted and burdened?
Heavier.
Yeah. It did no good
None whatsoever.
Maybe it helped them. I don't know. But so here's what he suggests you do is if it helps you to tell someone something happened to you, other than your spouse, if there's someone living with you, obviously they're going to know something that happened to you. If it's important, if it's a big deal. If you need to tell someone else, choose one person, one confidant that you can say, I don't want anybody else to know about this. Or you can if you want, but I don't want them calling me and saying, oh yeah, okay. Choose that one person that you can trust and lifts you up when you tell them. And then you get it off your chest. You get it burdened. Because I do think if something happens to me, not a big deal, but something I think, I got to tell somebody what I saw or what almost happened to me, or you feel a need to share the story, or at least I do. So once you say it to that one person, stop. And if you have, let's say, we're going to use the number 5 a lot. If you have 5 close friends, tell Beth about your marital issues. Tell Susie about your friend issues. Tell, if you feel like you need to communicate with all your friends and keep them in the loop. But that's just his suggestion. What do you think about that?
I just think that if you need to get it off your chest, then talk to a friend that you can trust beyond like anything. And then I always talk to God about it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of relief enough, I think.
And for people who aren't sure about God or don't believe in God, probably really need to feel like they get it off their chest. But if you only do to one person and you trust that they will not say anything to anyone else, you don't have to tell it over and over and over again. You're not going to get that phone call in a few minutes or text. What? Why didn't you tell me this happened to you? Why did you tell her before you told me? And it just turns into you having to console everyone else for what is your problem, what is your trauma. And I know, believe me, I'm talking to myself here too, because I have a tendency to Because somebody's going to say, how's it been going? What have you been doing? Well, that bad thing pops in your brain, and you told somebody else, so, well, this is what's happened. And you're reliving it again. So that's something I need to work on, too. Another theory, according to Jorge Perez and his studies of scientific studies, is the quantum theory. I used to watch Quantum Leap, but I don't really know the quantum theory. But in his case, it's like, okay, say you observe someone, and he used the name Maria. You observe Maria doing something hateful or acting hateful or saying something bad about somebody. You don't really know her that well. Let's say you're at a party or in a friend group. You've just known her, seen her a couple times. You haven't really formed an opinion of her, but you hear her say something hateful about somebody or do something not nice to somebody. So you come to the conclusion that that's Maria, that hateful person, because that's really what you know about her. So you might tell a friend who's also met Maria, or maybe they say, what do you think about Maria? But doesn't know her that well either. And you say, well, I think she's kind of hateful. So you two discuss how hateful Maria is. Well, then your friend, let's say Beth, goes and tells Jackie, did you hear what Maria did? And it perpetuates and perpetuates. So
we're making Maria a really bad person right off the bat and not even giving her a chance, because you have no idea why she was being hateful to that person, because it could have been necessary or called for.
Exactly. You've put an image and energy out in your world, in your circle, that Maria is this hateful person. Therefore, in the future, he says, you'll look at her expecting that to happen, or you'll twist what she does into, yeah, that's Maria for you. When she doesn't even know what you're talking about, You'll actually manifest that Maria is the hateful person in your life. Whereas if you had just kept what you observed initially about Maria to yourself, kept your mouth shut, you probably would have gotten over it over time. You'd have forgotten about it, and then you would have seen her do something really sweet and nice, and that would have taken over your image of Maria.
And then you wouldn't have made her a Karen.
Exactly. We should have used the name Karen. Poor Karens out there in the world. So Maria might do something friendly or kind to you, and you might think, well, I know she's not nice, but there's some ulterior motive because she's Maria, or she's Karen. And the friend of the friends that you didn't tell that you think Maria is not nice will come to their own conclusions about Maria too, who Maria truly is. So in this case, it's shut your mouth. And I think, and I'm speaking for myself, my tendency would be, let's say you and I were at a party and I saw somebody do something like jerk something out of somebody's hand or call somebody a bad name, and I overheard it, I would probably come to you and say, that woman over there we just met. I mean, is that not human nature, don't you think?
Well, I think it's human nature, but we're learning something here.
Yeah,
so
I'm confessing.
Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, because
obviously
you see yourself
we
doing
shouldn't do that.
Yeah, you don't realize, according to him, again it's a theory, how that spreads and trickles out. He believes in negative energy, positive energy, manifesting your environment by your perception, because everything is perception. That's why some people like to go to the park and have a picnic, and somebody would rather go into a nice, cool restaurant. It's your perception of what is good and bad and pleasing. So you have made Maria or Karen, just like you said, you got it immediately, the hateful person in your life, in your friend group. And this also works to self-sabotage. If you say, I'm so clumsy whenever you trip, or bump into someone, or you bump into the table and your friends are there and you say, well, you know me, I'm clumsy Dina, self-deprecating things, then others will see you that way. So the next time you trip,
and you'll start seeing your own self that way.
Exactly.
And so you're not ever supposed to continue to say negative things about yourself.
Music,
you're supposed to say positive
and end
things
with
about
slang,
yourself.
the new slang.
I'm very kind to people, or I am X, whatever. But you're not ever supposed to say, you're not even supposed to voice them out loud or even think them.
Fashion hair,
Because
music,
you can do
and end
much
with
damage
slang,
to yourself around your friends, the way they perceive you, and then how you perceive yourself.
Exactly. And you'll actually probably start tripping more, according to him. You'll start, whoops, going down these stairs, you know how I am, watch out. And I do that. I mean, I know I do that. I self-deprecate and make myself the goofy person's probably going to fall down these stairs, So therefore I manifest it, and the next time I trip, a friend might feel comfortable to say, Lord Dina, there you go again, and then it hurts my feelings. And it's only my fault because I put that out.
Right.
The image out there. You don't have to say, I am the most graceful person in the world. I can't believe I tripped over that. I would never do that. You just don't say anything. You say, whoops. And as a friend, you say, are you okay? So you can create your own image to other people, just like Tia got it again, like that. The example he used was, then you tell your friend, I'm going to start taking ballroom dance classes, and everybody starts laughing hysterically. You're going to take ballroom Clumsy Dina? And so you don't do it. You're like, yeah, that's right. I am Clumsy Dina. So be just as kind and intentional, just like you said, when you talk about yourself as when you talk about others that you care about. Because you ultimately should care about yourself, right?
Of course.
Okay, so here's the 10 rules of keeping your mouth shut method. And some of these we kind of discussed. Number 1, if you must tell someone else something negative about someone, you got to vent. You can't believe how this woman jumped. Don't use their name. If this person doesn't know them, or maybe kind of knows, just say, this friend of mine did this, 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 and this. That way it can't be spread. It can be spread, but it can't be spread about the real name, because somebody somewhere is going to know. I mean, you know how Facebook is. You look and think, we have mutual friends? We have 20 mutual friends? I didn't know you knew the people I know. And it's also, if you believe in manifestation, not going to manifest that awfulness out to her with her name. It's your experience that moment, you get it out. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that one.
Okay. 2, only tell one person your problems. Do not create that network of negativity. Limit it to one confidant, and this will also create a bond. If I told you something, I said, Tia, I'm not telling anyone else this. And when I say that, and I have said that to you before, I mean it. It's not like I say that to everybody. Don't tell anyone. I'm not going to tell anyone else but you. He says that creates a bond where they feel responsible for that secret, and they won't, than likely won't tell anyone else. Now, if they did and they went to Susan and she said, yeah, no, Dina told me that already, then that ruins that bond and might even ruin the friendship. I've had that happen to me too. Oh yeah, Shirley told me that too. All right, so that's kind of a fake bond somebody's trying to build there.
A fake bond.
Now, if you want to talk about something bad about your confidant, then you have to get a new friend.
Yes, exactly.
You can't do that. Say, oops, wait, you're my confidant. I can't say that. That's who I'm talking about. Always choose someone you respect to tell your problem to, if you have to. First of all, do I have to tell anybody?
No.
If you have to, choose somebody you respect, because why would you want to tell, because you're kind of expecting advice or opinions or comfort. Why would you want that from someone whose life is a shambles themselves? Why do we go to the screw-ups to tell somebody about something bad that happened to us? They're going to get us bad about it. Okay, good. Good.
You surely don't.
Maybe.
Okay.
Just to tell it again.
All right.
I think sometimes we tell when we're wrong to someone because we want to get comforted again. Like, they shouldn't have done that. Or, you're not sure. Do you think I did the right thing? You keep wanting that reassurance, even from somebody you don't respect. All right. 3, if someone is gossiping about someone else to you, just say, I hear you, or I'm sorry you're hurt. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry that you're hurt by them. Don't jump in on the thing. And that's something that I try to do, and sometimes people think I don't care, or I'm taking their side, when really I'm just trying to be quiet, because
neutral.
Yeah, because inevitably they're going to make up, and I'm going to be the bad guy.
Exactly.
I've had that happen to me before. Yeah, just say, I'm sorry. I hear you. I get what you're saying. I see why you might feel that way. I'm so sorry. Let the gossip end with you.
Right.
Do not repeat it. 4, practice generosity when listening. Let the person complaining get it all out. Don't interrupt. Be that ear. And that even makes it easier on you not to have to say anything and get involved in the gossip. Then, and this is, I'm so guilty of this. I did this the other day to a friend. Don't tell them your own experience with that situation. Let it be their time. Give them the freedom to be negative all they want. Just listen and then say, I hear you. I have a tendency to do that because I think I'm letting them know I understand. I had a friend the other day talking about their father has dementia and was telling me, I'm starting to see it more and more and more. And I would say, yeah, my daddy would read the newspaper upside down when I thought it was his favorite thing to read the paper, because she said his favorite thing was to, I can't remember, maybe go for a walk after breakfast, and he didn't want to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, I know what you mean, but I took that away from her, I think, as according to this. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I think that's a thin line, because I do think you need to let them finish before jumping in and interrupting, because I've done that. Just because I'm thinking, if I don't say this right now, I'm going to forget. I'm just being honest.
It's,
but
your middle-aged friends,
But after they've finished, and I do kind of think that sometimes it's helpful
music
to someone,
and end with
if
slang,
they know
the
that
new
you've
slang.
experienced something like that,
Mm-hmm.
or it makes them feel like, oh, they kind of do get what I'm experiencing and going through. So I just kind of think you have to play it the best way you can.
Yeah, and if your motive is not to just, yeah, me too, or this is an even worse example of that with me. If your motives are pure, it should come across that way.
Exactly.
But you're right, it's hard not to jump in because you can't believe they're going through the same. That's
Right.
exactly what happened to me. So you try to hold back. That's my problem. And you may be giving advice. That's what happened to me, and here's what I did for him. Yeah, I do that, and apparently it's a thing. And people can perceive it as being, all right, she's talking about her again. I'm going to shut up. I didn't finish my story. But Dina, she's in her arm. Number 5, be compassionate to yourself when you're dealing with your own struggles, problems, and challenges. And we did say that already. Treat yourself the same way you would treat a dear friend with the same problem. A really good friend that you love is hurting about something. You wouldn't say, why did you do that, dummy? Why didn't you do that? Like you would yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I never should have done that. You wouldn't say, you never should have done that. I mean, there may be some friends you talk to that way, but generally you're comforting. So why wouldn't you comfort and forgive yourself and give yourself that grace too? Now, you come out of an athletic background, and my ex-husband was in the athletic background, and he was very hard on himself, and he felt like I should be too. Don't give yourself a break. Push yourself harder. So that might be harder for somebody like you to do that, you think?
To push myself harder?
To comfort yourself and give yourself grace. I
I was literally going to say, I think that one is easier said than done, because it is. I mean, I do try to push, and I don't like not being able to. And so I am hard on myself about that, for sure.
And that's an athletic mentality, I think. So it's hard to get out of that mode. And according to him, you should. Maybe you think, no, that I don't work that way. That doesn't help me to forgive myself and comfort myself.
Oh, no, I think I should. I mean, I'm not getting younger, so there are some things I just can't do like I used to could do, period.
Right.
I just need to be accepting, not lay off and not try hard, but just be kinder to myself.
Okay. Yes, be kinder to yourself, because this whole thing is about not creating unnecessary drama,
Right.
even unto yourself.
Right.
Okay. Number 6, you're not a reporter when you describe something that happened in a perspective that aligns with your desired outcomes rather than how the other people in the world might perceive them. It'll be helpful to you. See the positive side of bad news. Before you tell the story, think, what is the good that came out of this? Because you're not a reporter. You don't have to give people all the facts. Right. And you're not trying to get them to turn on your news channel. You are trying to see it in a positive way, or a way that will work for you. Don't describe the world as it may be. Describe it as how you would like for it to be. And that doesn't not be delusional, not be delulu. We learned the word delulu last week. Don't be delulu, but that doesn't mean like you'd say, I'm so rich, when you look at your bank account and it's empty. That's not going to put money in your bank account.
No.
But don't call up all your friends and complain about how broke you are.
Right.
Keep your mouth shut and try to change your situation.
Right.
Because you will be broke, clumsy Dina. And I've said that a lot around here. So don't keep spreading that energy. Put your energy into changing the situation. It's like bailing out a leaky boat rather than just bring it up on the shore and patch it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you agree with all that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. 7, listen. We've talked a little bit more about earlier about listening. Don't just wait to speak. Listen twice as much as you talk.
Mm-hmm.
Don't dominate the conversation. Until, like you and I say, this is not Jorge, this is us. We say, you never learn anything when you're talking.
Right.
But you sure give a lot away when you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Then have compassion for that person and stop talking about them to others. So
Right.
just listen. Shut off your brain and just listen. Shut off your thoughts. Listen. And then feel compassion before you speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't share their story.
Right. I totally agree with all of that.
And you say it's easier said than done. But I'm hoping us saying this out loud today and putting it out into the universe will make people think, oh, wait, that was rule number 7, or just little keywords will stick in their mind when they start to open their mouth. Because we do have a platform, a voice, and listeners. Then they can tell people and they can tell people. So, all right, what's that commercial? I told 10 people, she told 10 people. Was it Herbal Essence commercial?
Oh, I don't know.
That's what you think of that.
You got me on that one. I have not a clue.
All right, number 8. Remember that millions of people, millions, Tia, would love to be in your shoes. So what are the positives of your life when you're complaining? It's all about gratitude, which, hey, we're ahead of you, Jorge. We have an episode every Sunday about gratitude. Giggles and gratitude. So really practice gratitude. When you're aching, when you're sick, when you're worried about paying your bills, when someone's mad at you that you love, remember millions of people would love to be where you are. That doesn't mean you're not going to hurt, but it does make you feel, okay, I'm grateful for, I've got this house, roof over my head, I've got food in the refrigerator,
I've got a bed, I've
Yes.
got clothes. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Clean water.
Absolutely.
There's so many people that don't even. That's I don't know if I'm bringing this, but when I brush my teeth, I will not let the water run while I'm washing.
Because you don't want to waste the good water.
Exactly, because I'm thinking there are people without. Not that I'm doing them any favors, but at least I'm acknowledging that there are people that are without clean water, and this is like gold to some people. They can't even shower.
Yeah, if they could just put a cup under your faucet while
Exactly.
you're brushing your teeth.
And drink it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a beautiful thing to you. Now, I think I'll always remember that because I have a tendency to leave the water running. I don't know why. I kind of brush my teeth in the shower. Is that gross? Not at night, but when I take a shower, I brush my teeth. You can just get in there like a rabid dog and froth it up and it just runs down you. Cleans your body a little bit too.
Only you. I have never brushed my teeth.
In the shower?
Well, I probably electrocute myself. It's a battery operated.
I use that too. Try it. You'll like it.
No.
You don't have to be careful. You just get all over your face. It can run down your chin.
It always does. What are you talking about?
Might as well be in the shower. All right. So, yeah, be grateful is what we're trying to say. All right.
In a way around the world kind of way.
Be grateful for that toothbrush. A lot of people don't have a toothbrush. 9, remember that life is temporary. And remember, all these rules are to, you're kind of all over the place. It seems like, no, it's all goes back to not stressing your body out and raising your cortisol levels and making yourself sick. Making your life easy. You're causing all your problems with your big old mouth. So number 9, even when you have all these problems, even if you haven't been following these rules, remember that life is temporary. This is a shock to some people to think of because they believe this life is it. So therefore, there's nothing to look forward to. And this is all that matters. And some people don't believe that. Some people believe in an afterlife. Jorge believes in an afterlife. And this whole theory is based on that also. So remember that life is temporary. And remember it when you're experiencing something good and something bad. So if you remember when you're experiencing something good, you can truly just stop, take it in, take a mental snapshot of it, because it's never going to happen again in exactly the same way.
Exactly.
Think about the smells, the sights, the sounds of people that are with you, and be grateful for it. And when
cherish every moment.
Exactly. And when you're experiencing something bad, this too shall pass. live with a sense of urgency and passion. Really get involved in every moment that you're doing. And again, I know this isn't realistic, but if you're sitting in a traffic jam, get into it. You could do something else. Enjoy the song you're listening to. Be grateful you have the car you're
Sing
sitting.
loud.
Yeah, I know that's what you do. Yep. Catch up on the news. Change it to the news. Don't
No.
take it out.
No, I disagree with that one. The news is filled with everything that's negative. Why would I want to put that in my head?
Yeah.
And so, I know knowledge is power.
Yeah. You want to know what's going on.
You need to know what's going on. But I think, just watch the highlights, turn it off.
Yes.
And don't listen to it. Put on and sometimes, I know you can't stand this, but sometimes just sitting in silence is wonderful. You'd be amazed what you can see out your car window when you're just sitting in silence.
Yes, that's true. And you might solve a problem you're not even realize you're thinking about when you're in that, if you want to call it meditation or whatever you want to call it, when your brain's not distracted too much. It's like...
Right, because you made a comment, and this stuck with me. When you were with your husband, you said that one time, because this was on a colorblind episode, but you said you were going down the road and you saw these beautiful flowers. Okay, that's literally appreciating the creation, and that is awesome.
Yeah, and it's hard to do that when you're driving, but
Right.
if you're sitting in a traffic jam, what's around you?
Right.
Look at the person next to you. I like to
You can
make up
watch
stories
somebody
about people.
pick their nose,
Yeah.
laugh at them.
Yeah, there you go. Get a little chuckle. It's like, bless their heart.
Oh, please don't rub it on
Please don't
your
eat it.
sun visor.
No, his mouth finger's going to his mouth. No. That's when you look away. And you immediately go home and tell everybody you know.
Oh.
All right. And number 10. Shut up before telling anyone what to do. Let them figure it out. Be their listening ear. Everyone is on their own journey, and what they decide is correct for them at that time in their life. Whatever they decide, that is what was meant to be done. Don't be the little butterfly that comes in and ruins the whole scheme of the world. Now, obviously, they're going to ask your opinion. If they do, really think about what you say. Be compassionate and say, I'm not telling you that this will work out. This is what to do. If you're truly asking me, if I was in your shoes, I would probably do this. Or you could even say, I'm not comfortable influencing your decision in this situation. I just want you to know I love you. I'll pray for you that you make the right decision. And just let me know how you are. You know what I mean? It's like, we're so quick to say, oh, I can't believe you do that. I would have done this. Or, here's what you need to do. I know, because this has happened to me. And you feel like you're being a friend and you're being helpful. But in his opinion, you should just kind of shut up.
Right.
Use empathy when you're evaluating others' lives. Because while they're sitting there telling you this horrific story, you may be saying, in your head, you shouldn't have done that. Or if you'd done this, oh, here's where you screwed up. Oh, no, here's what's going to happen now. Oh, my gosh, you're so stupid. In your brain, you're not saying it out loud. Try to practice empathy even in your brain when you're evaluating others' lives, actions, their words, their decisions. If we have a problem with someone, it might be because we're not being compassionate to that person.
Empathy is just kind of taking on that person's hurt or their feelings. I think that is extremely important in listening to somebody. I mean, giving a listening ear, not necessarily, your advice or whatever, but people can see when you're empathetic towards them, and they can see that you have compassion, and I think that's really being a good friend.
Yeah. And you have a tendency to create drama for yourself if you give them the advice, especially if they haven't quite asked for it, because if it doesn't work out, well, Tia, I tried doing that, and this is what happened to me. Thanks a lot.
Right.
Whereas if you're just compassionate and say, I'm so sorry, I hear you. But it's natural, as he said before, to think, oh my gosh, that's horrible. I hope that wouldn't happen to me. Well, see, here's what you should have done, because this is what would have stopped that. So, because you're thinking in your own scenario, what if that happened to me? So, I think I agree with a lot of that, not all of it. And I think you're right. It depends on the friend, how well you know them, the situation, the history. Would you agree with all that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you some scenarios to you where you would shut up or speak up.
Okay.
Number 1, your friend introduces you to her new boyfriend at a party. So let's say this is a friend that you've known for 20 years.
Okay.
And you see each other pretty regularly, as life allows. She hasn't seen anybody in a long time. She's divorced. So they're both at this party. She introduces you. And you say, well, it's pretty nice. Seems nice. Nice to meet you. Later on, he gets a little tipsy. Your friend goes to the ladies' room. And you see the boyfriend, in your opinion, flirting with another woman. Now, however you envision that, what you would consider flirting, he doesn't know you see it. Do you tell your friend?
1,000% yes.
Do you?
I speak up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shut up on that one.
Okay. Now, how would you say? Would you say, let's say his name is Don. Don was flirting with those women over there where you're gone. It was, it was really upsetting. It was pretty obvious. Or would you say, okay, here's what I saw. Don was standing over there talking to whoever these women are. You don't know the women, maybe. And he reached and kind of touched her arm. Whatever you visioned would be flirting.
Well, he'd have to do something more than touch somebody's arm.
Okay.
I
What
don't
would you consider?
find-
You would have to hear what he was saying to consider it
Yes.
flirting.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Would you tell her immediately and point out the woman, or would you wait till the party was over and you were in an intimate setting together?
In an intimate setting.
Tell her gently.
Yes.
Okay. If you tell and she gets mad at him and he says, I was drunk, I didn't know what I was saying, or I didn't really mean it that way, and I'm really sorry. You're right, that's wrong. I've been single for so long. We've just started seeing each other, so I am sorry. I will act better, or I won't drink when we're out together. So they make up. But she told him that Tia said you were doing it. You're probably not going to be his favorite person.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. And he may say, I don't like it when you hang around with Tia.
Right.
Is that still okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, you feel adamantly about that.
Well, no, I mean, because she's the one that's going to have to make the decision whether to hang out with me or not. Because if we're that good of friends, what he says to her, we've been friends for 20 years, you said. So if she takes his word over mine, then obviously we weren't that good of friends to begin with.
Okay. That's a good thought. Because I feel like if you don't say anything then, don't ever say anything. Because if she says, do you know that Dawn, after months of dating, cheated on me? You couldn't say, well, I wondered about him. Because she can say, why didn't you tell me? You just have to keep your mouth shut forever. That would be hard to do. Now, I had a friend who was about to get a divorce, and our other friend said, don't go back to him. They just had a baby. And she came in and said, we all worked together, and she came in and said, her name's Betty. She came in and said, I've decided to take him back. I said, I had the forethought in mind to say, I want you to do whatever makes you happy. That's what's best for you, then I'm all for it. If it makes you happy. She said, you're the first person that said that. All my friends are mad at me. I've lost them. And I don't even want to be around them since they don't like my husband, who I still love, and we can't hang out anymore with them anymore because of that. So it can get very dicey when you butt in.
You have to tread real lightly, especially when it's somebody that is actually filed for a divorce and then they decide to get back together. That's tricky areas.
Because they're going to remember everything you all said.
Exactly.
Well, I never really liked him in the first place. I think you'll be better off. You cannot say those things, even if you think them, because they might get back together again. But you said you were willing to give up that friendship because if she would get mad at you over
No,
trying
I'm
to
not
help
giving
her.
it up. She is.
Okay, good point. There's other follow-up questions here, but you're pretty adamant about it. They were like, would you keep your mouth shut, let her enjoy it, and he'll figure it out. She'll figure it out, or maybe he'll do better next time and realize he shouldn't have done that. Or if someone else witnessed it with you, it might be easier to say, Dina and I saw Dawn do this thing, but again, you were adamant about it. Would you want someone to tell you in that scenario?
1,000%.
Okay. Would you say, well, what did you see? And then you would confront him?
No, I probably wouldn't confront him. I mean, if he's going to do that, he's going to do it again. And I don't know. I'm almost too old to even answer these questions because, I mean, I'm just thinking, it takes a whole lot for somebody to just change. People can do it.
Yeah.
But it takes a whole lot. Well, I won't do that again, or I won't drink when I'm with you, or I won't blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Okay, usually blah, blah, blah is exactly what it is. Yeah. I mean,
it's just to get out of the situation at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't have any patience for stuff like that.
Yeah, time's too short.
Yes.
Well, I would probably, because I'm chicken, I'd probably wait till the party was over. The next time I saw her, I would use a fake scenario. Would you want to know if something like that happened, or do you think, no, that's a chicken way out? And then I say, well, it's actually you. That probably wouldn't go over too well.
If you ever start a conversation with me and say, I had a friend, how would you feel?
You're going to know what I'm doing.
I'm going to know exactly what you're doing.
You're like, what did Greg do? All right. Next scenario. You're single and dating. Just pretend you're single and dating. By the third date, you just aren't feeling the spark. You kind of did at first, and then he started saying some things later that you're like, that's a deal breaker there on your third date. You're not feeling the spark anymore. So you make excuses not to go out again. You say, thank you, good night, and you go in, and he texts you a few days later, and you say, I've got plans, because you're still trying to figure out, what should I say, what should I do? He keeps persisting. Do you just not answer his calls, ghost him and hope he just gets the hint? Or do you come right out and say, I'm just not that into you, sorry?
I'm just not that into you.
So you open your mouth, you speak up again. Okay.
Obviously, it's kind of showing I'm having a real hard time shutting up.
Shocking. I'm shocked.
Wow. I don't want to ghost somebody. That's just rude.
Okay. Well, I can respect that. What are you going to say to him?
I think you're a great person, but I just don't think, there's that much between us. And so
but
I just think
what did I do? Did I do something? Because the first couple of dates we had fun. What did I do wrong?
Nothing. It's just, I'm just really not that into you. I mean, I don't know.
If it was a specific thing, let's say he talked bad about his ex a lot, or was rude to the waiter, would you say, well, actually what it was this? Or would you just say, look, we're not in that invested?
If it was something like that stood out, like he was, say, really, really rude to wait staff or whatever, then I would just say, I just cannot deal with that. That's I can't.
Okay.
Would say more.
I would say, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. You're a great person. But I realized I'm not ready to, now that I've done it, I'm really just not ready to date, Or I don't think I'm maybe what you would be looking for because I'm blah, 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 blah. That's what I would do. Now, I'm not saying that's healthy. I'm just being honest.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
Or I would probably just come right out and lie and say...
No. Please take that back.
My ex has contacted me, and I think I'm going to try to give it one more shot. I think I owe him that.
Oh.
Rather than tell him what's wrong with him. I'd just be worried about hurting his feelings, I guess.
Could be helping him in his next venture with someone else.
Possibly. But I would have the drama over with. You might have a stalker trying to get even with you looking through your windows because you made him mad. You may have created drama with your honesty.
Well,
just a thought.
I just don't think you can ever go wrong with honesty.
Okay. That's certainly a plausible thought.
It is, isn't it?
Certainly healthy. And mature.
It's immature.
And mature.
Oh. What?
So, number 3, you go to brunch with your friends. Again, it's 5 friends. And you say, this is on me. I've just had the best time, you guys. And I invited y'all. I'd really like, just let me do it this one time. No, you've never done that, but you do that all the time. Mm-hmm. But you get the check. You're looking over it because you want to see what to tip. You're checking everything. And you realize the waiter only charged you for 4 brunches because it's all the same for each person. What do? Speak up or shut up?
You know what I will do. I'm going to speak up. And I'm going to tell the waiter or waitress, there's only 4. And we had 5.
Yeah, I would too.
I
was raised that way.
Well, right. Because that's just that's stealing.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
I agree.
Okay, well.
Or some people would think, jackpot. We didn't disagree on that one.
I'm just so happy that we agreed on one thing. Wow.
Now, Jorge disagreed when he gave the scenario. He said, think of it as a stroke of luck and pay the same amount you would have paid with 5, but give it to the waiter. Give him cash and say, take this home, But I can't do it because I feel like it would come out of his paycheck. They would realize it somehow, that there was 5 people at this table, and he would end up having to give it anyway. Then he would get in trouble for having missed it. And it may not have been his fault. It may have been the cashier's fault who rang it up. So, yeah, I agree with you on that, honey. I'm healthy there. I'm honest about that. I just don't like to hurt people's feelings. I don't like to hurt people's feelings. All right, number 4. A new friend invites you to a party. You don't know any of the people there. Let's say you have known them for a few months and have gone out once before with them, a friend. The friend welcomes you into his home, or let's say she welcomes you into her home. It's at her home. She introduces you to a few people so you won't feel, awkward or out of place. She excuses herself and goes into the bathroom. Now, this is kind of dark, and maybe I should change it. So I'm going to tell it the way it is, and if you think it's too dark for our show, I'll switch the scenario. When she comes out of the bathroom, she's suddenly got all this energy, and she's very outgoing and different, and you see a little white powder on her nose.
So she's gone to do cocaine.
Do you say something to her or gesture like, da, 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 or something on your nose when you don't do drugs, Or do you keep your mouth shut or maybe confront her later about what she's doing? Or do you know her well enough to even care? Do you do something with her again? What do you...
I've only known her a couple of months.
Yeah, you've only gone a couple places with her.
Well, I'm just probably not going to say anything at that point.
Just going to let everybody see the powder and your consequences of your actions.
Yes.
Okay. I think I would do that too.
Yes, of course.
I don't know. I'd probably be so stupid. I'd be like, you got something on your nose?
Have you been eating powdered donuts?
That's what I was going to say. That was the scenario I was going to give because I didn't know if that was too dark for our show. Yeah, so she's on a diet. She goes to Weight Watchers with you, and she goes into the kitchen, comes back with powdered sugar on her face. Do you say, wipe your face? Let's go with that one. So do you say, wipe your face? Oh, you got a little something on her. Or do you say, did you go in the kitchen? And that's how you met her, was at a Weight Watchers meeting. Did you eat powdered donuts in there? Come here. Let me wipe your mouth off. What would you do in that scenario?
Okay, well, first of all, I will tell anybody. I don't care who they are. I've pulled toilet paper out of somebody's dress before. So they wouldn't be embarrassed. And then I will tell somebody, we've got spinach right there. Or,
yeah.
I
appreciate that.
Check for Rice Krispie goodies in your nose.
Is that Rice Krispie or booger in your nose? I don't think I would do the booger thing. That's a little embarrassing. I might kind of...
Well, it's more embarrassing to the person that's sitting there with it in their nose and you're sitting there talking to them. And then the only thing you can do is look at the booger.
Starts wiggling. Booger's got a little boogie in it.
Oh. Because if you do that gesture, like wipe your nose, then what you're both going to sit there and do is do nothing but
bring it out further. Then it'll be on the end of their nose.
not want to go to the bathroom and blow.
If I knew the person really, if it was you, I would pull you aside and say, Tia, you got a little boogie in your nose. But if it was somebody I had
You
just
didn't have to pull me aside.
I could say in front of everybody.
Tia, check. For among
Your
friends.
car's coming out of the garage.
Yeah.
Did you pull your car all the way in the garage? You'd be like, what are you talking about?
That's exactly what I would say.
I don't know another euphemism
Just want you to say, check your nose. How about that? That's pretty much to the point.
Okay. All right. So you would speak up. I probably would not.
Okay.
All right. And our last one. You meet a guy and you have a great first date. You just can't wait for him to call you again or text you or however he wants to communicate with you. A few days later, because he's cool, he texts you, but you've gotten a big pimple on the end of your nose, like a really big one that you could actually name, and it could probably live a life on its own. Or you've got a big cold sore. You went to the dentist or something and it made a big cold sore on the side of your face. Or maybe you had an allergic reaction to something. Or in my case, you got filler and your face was blown up like a blowfish. Do you say, I'm really busy this time, even though this is probably going to take like a week or more to get yourself back to where you feel attractive? Or do you just say, look, here's what happened. Here's my situation. Or will that make you seem unattractive to them? There'll always be the girl they went out with once and now she's got a big cold sore on her face. What would you do in that? Speak up or shut up and just make excuses, I guess. You really like him, Tia.
I know, but I mean, I can get some major cold sores, and I don't know, a
need a
silver
zip
dollar part of my mouth. I mean, it was horrible.
I do that too.
And yeah, I'd shut up. I'm not.
You don't want to put that image since he doesn't know you that well. I agree. So you can keep putting him off, and
and hopefully he'll continue to call.
Yeah, I think I would lie again. I'd make a really good, believable excuse rather than say, I'm busy, because he's going to think you're brushing him off if you don't say, I've already had plans, I really had a great time, and I really do want to see you, but I'm having guests for a week, or what do you say for a week till you get better,
Why don't I text you when, I've got some free time, because I totally enjoyed myself. So
that's good. You're so good. You've really got it together.
Yeah.
I'm a mess.
Not.
Okay, so those are our scenarios. I wonder what people listening thought. There's a lot of scenarios, but we're limited in time. So, Tia, in conclusion, these are my thoughts, and then I want to hear your thoughts. I feel like, let's say you went out to run errands, which you do a lot. You have a lot of things you have to do. And you have to wait, you're going to return something. Try to imagine that. I know it's hard for you, but...
Right.
You got to return a package, and you go into the place where you return, and there's a line. Not many, a couple people. But the lady in the beginning of the line at the counter is having an issue. It's taking forever. They're having to look stuff up. She's arguing with them. Rather than feel frustrated, just lean into that moment, is what he's saying. Lean into the fact that this is out of your control. Now, you can leave, come back later, but you're not going to have the package returned at this time. Can you actually, is it that big a deal if you just stand there and, like you were talking about when you're in a traffic jam, just think about things, relax, have empathy for her? Maybe you could text a friend that you haven't been able to stop and text because you were driving. Answer some questions. Look at your list of things you could do. Because this is out of your control. Would you wait for your turn? Could you do that? And then double. Well, let me ask you that first. Do you think you could just stand there and be still and wait?
I've done that 1,000 times.
Were you stressed?
No.
That's great. See, I would have thought, well, you probably did it, but you were probably like tapping your foot and looking at your watch and creating that
Unless
cortisol.
They're being dumb. Well, I had a lady literally the other day that had a backpack as a purse and sat there, and while she's finished her return, no one else could approach the counter because she was sitting there packing stuff and repacking her backpack purse. That's rude.
I hear what you're saying.
I almost said something.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Okay.
See what I did there?
You did good.
Yeah, you raised your cortisol level.
Well, that was...
But I appreciate you sharing. And then let me ask you this. When you get home and your spouse said, unless your spouse says, what took you so long? My gosh. If he just said, how'd it go? Try this. It went great. I got everything done. Could you actually do that without saying, there was this woman, da-da-da-da-da. That's an exercise that he wants us to practice.
Okay.
I
could practice that for sure.
Yeah.
Because Greg never says, what took you so long?
Yeah, so you don't have to explain why you were long. But I feel like it might be my human nature to walk and say, oh gosh, I didn't think I was ever going to get out of that post office or whatever, wherever you're returning it. Because this lady was dead, just like did. That is not good for your health, according to him. So we could exercise it. So in conclusion, that's what I'm saying. Let's try to exercise that. See if you can actually not tell somebody something bad that happened that's not a big deal, that they can't help you with, and it's over. That's over with.
Mm-hmm.
You might could even say, let's that woman, she obviously is having a bad day, or she's got an anger issue, or she's frustrated and having a lot. Who knows? Maybe her husband just passed away, and she's having to handle all this business, and it's got her upset, and she's alone and has to do it all. So maybe try to do all of those methods in that situation. And then also don't exaggerate what happened. If a story is true and you're telling it, sometimes I think people have a tendency to make it sound worse, not lie, but exaggerate how fast somebody was driving, or how mean they were to you, or how long it lasted, because you want to help them understand how bad this was. You know, when I say it out loud, it doesn't sound, you had to be there. It was really bad. So you may even make up somebody, and they said this, and I said this, when you didn't really say it, you wanted to say it, or I was thinking it, that. So you turn it into this big, exaggerated tell, and then what if they tell somebody? They're going to do the same thing. I have done that before, too. Somebody said it was okay to tell something, I'd say, it was awful. I mean, she was crying when you were just maybe teared up a little bit. It's a natural tendency to make the story good, make a person feel it. You want them to understand it. And so if you started out telling somebody that you went to dinner with Mary and she got a whole bunch of mints off the counter, instead of just taking one as you left the restaurant, by the time that story has gotten around to all your friends, she held up the restaurant or didn't pay her bill or robbed a bank. The gossip thing,
Exactly.
Yeah. So don't exaggerate. Maybe just don't tell the story unless it's going to be helpful to someone.
Right.
All right. And be intentional with your words in conversations with others. Words do matter, according to this book. They create an energy. And nothing you say out into the universe. I think I was saying this to you the other day. I had an idea for something, an invention or whatever, but I didn't know how to do it. But I said it, and I told you. Because I said it, somebody will. The thought's out there. I'm not the only one thinking it.
Dana,
yeah.
You said you tried to make a joke go all the way around the world.
Right.
Please don't exaggerate that you had an invention. Really?
See, I just did. I forgot it was a joke.
And you wanted to make it go all the way around the world, but apparently it wasn't that funny.
I wanted it to come back to me like a boomerang. But despite my idiocy, words do matter. Things you say are not in a vacuum. The spoken thoughts spread through the universe, and there will be reactions and consequences. Every conversation has a consequence and a reaction, and you started that conversation. Every word you speak shapes your world, the world you live in. Wayne Dyer said, he's an author and a self-help author, he's passed away, there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way.
Mm-hmm.
Be happy first. Don't look for happiness.
Right.
All right. Is there anything you want to add?
Baby, I think you've covered it.
Okay.
I mean,
did you learn anything?
hook,
Do you
line,
feel,
and sinker.
I think you were already there in a lot of places, but maybe this reinforced.
I just realized I need to shut up more.
Yeah. And that's kind of hard for us, too, because we are literally doing just the opposite here. We're telling everyone what we think and feel twice a week and affecting people's lives. And, I'm going to try to be more aware of that. I feel like I am kind of aware of that, and I try to think about what I say and be honest. But how do you feel about that? Do you think we're doing damage, or do you think we're helping?
No. I mean, because they can take us or leave us. Take our advice or leave it. I mean, everybody they can make their own decisions.
Okay.
So, no, I don't think we're damaging anyone except you saying you had an invention.
It was a joke. There's an example of exaggeration.
I invented a joke.
Anyway, we better get out of here. I hope you guys have taken something from this. I think we're all guilty of a lot of these things. It's
I
just
do
human
too.
nature. Yeah. And I think hopefully if you listen to this, our little faces and our little voices will pop into your brain and you'll think twice. Or maybe you'll say, forget them. What do they know? It could go either way.
Right. I just think it's helpful information, and people can do with it whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah.
So,
And I'll include this book link, and there's a lot more to it. I just skimmed over topics, but there's a whole lot more to it. And like you say, you can take it and leave it. You have your own self-help, your
I
own...
thought it was extremely interesting. Thank you for your research.
Thank you, Tia. Thank you for participating and being so mentally healthy.
Uh,
It helps me.
let's not go that far, okay?
I'm exaggerating
I know,
again.
you are, again.
All right. We love you guys. Thank you for listening. I love you, Tia.
I love you, little one.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We would love to hear from you.
Leave your questions or comments on our voicemail by visiting our website at dinaandtia.com. Your message may be played on the show.
You can find our Instagram and Facebook links there too.
Again, that's dinaandtia.com. Thanks
Thanks
for
for
listening.